Hi, a very warm welcome to you all to today's webinar on lab-grown diamonds, whether it's a threat or an opportunity. We are very thankful to Mr. Albert Robinson for having this webinar for us today. He would be taking this webinar from Israel. Now I hand over the presentation to him to take it forward from here.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Albert Robinson, and I'm the editor of IDEX Online and IDEX Magazine. It's my pleasure today to talk to you about the issue of synthetic diamonds. As we know, this subject has become increasingly important in recent years. We all know the issue of synthetic or lab-grown diamonds, and more specifically, the undisclosed mixing of such diamonds in parcels of naturally mined diamonds is one of the biggest challenges the diamond industry faces today. I should point out, of course, synthetics are not new to our industry, but in recent years their production has increased tremendously. During this webinar, we will be looking at the subject of synthetics from several angles, including how they are produced and the volumes of production, how they are marketed, and the legal aspects. Okay, so let's start off with a look back. A decade or so ago, after the Kimberley process was established to deal with the issue of conflict diamonds, I would say the industry's next great challenge is likely to be that of synthetic diamonds. For diamantaires, the issue of trust, on which the industry is traditionally based, has now become even more acute. In 2012, the International Gemological Institute in Antwerp uncovered in a parcel of about 1,000 small diamonds, believed to be natural, more than 600 man-made stones. They were not ordinary synthetics, but included, as the IGI said at the time, impurities which were apparently intentionally introduced in the synthetic production process, not to make the stone more beautiful, but solely to make the stone look more natural. Synthetic diamonds are not new, as I mentioned previously. General Electric made them for the first time in the 1950s. But what is new is that the technology for creating lab-grown diamonds has become much more freely available than ever before, with prices for such machines dropping to around $500,000, perhaps even less. In addition, there's also been a big improvement in recent years in the ability of manufacturers to create higher colours and clarities, as well as in producing a large range of coloured stones. Diamond technology in the United States, for example, can grow 60 stones on one platter, with an average of size of 1.3 carats in just 140 hours. That was a couple of years ago, so it's safe to assume the figure is even higher today. According to diamantaires in Surat, India's diamond processing centre, around 5 to 7% of 1, 2 and 3 pointers are synthetic stones. Most of these synthetics are being set in jewellery before being exported, and so they do not even enter the gem diamond market. Some industry experts estimate that synthetics account for around 650 million of the overall polished trade in 2016, and that may actually be on the low side. We should put that in perspective, of course, and understand that polished sales in 2016 were about 18 billion. So this is still rather a small amount, but still it's growing, and that is a matter of concern. The picture isn't entirely clear, as a survey by the consulting company Frost & Sullivan found that there is likely to be slow growth in the supply of lab-grown stones due to the high cost of equipment, high operating costs, relatively low output achieved from the invested capital, the high costs of raw materials, and the ongoing investment needed for continuous technology improvement. But as I mentioned a couple of minutes ago, these costs are diminishing all the time. Let's be clear, synthetic diamond production is still relatively small. India's Natural Diamond Monitoring Committee says the annual output of quality, while the rest are, and will continue to be used, in alternative industries, mostly for industrial use. We shouldn't undermine or degrade synthetics. It's a commodity that's available as an alternative, and I believe we should work with the synthetics industry to make sure that they are disclosed properly and that they adhere to the rules. The majority of the producers are straightforward in their dealings. It's when we get to the dealers that we have issues of non-disclosure. This is really the heart of the matter. Should we perhaps be most concerned about the threat of lab-grown diamonds as far as the younger generation is concerned? They are already showing, and they have been for some years already, showing a tendency not to buy jewellery as their parents did, preferring instead smartphones and tablets and other products such as experiential holidays. And producers of lab-grown diamonds understand this well. They stress the environmentally clean way in which they create diamonds, compared with the dirt and supposed destruction of the environment and so-called slave labour which they claim are prevalent in the mining of natural diamonds. Not only that, but lab-grown stones are also seen as being totally conflict-free. Furthermore, some younger people may ask, why is a diamond grown in a lab any less romantic than one extracted from tons of soil and dirt? Others may ask, why should they be forced to pay a relatively large sum for a naturally created diamond when they can acquire a lab-grown stone for 20 to 50% less? Ticking the right boxes for the so-called millennial generation, lab-grown diamonds are being promoted as sustainable, authentic, and providing value for money. And given that these diamonds are being grown in a range of colours and larger sizes, their attraction could grow even further. They are available in pinks and blues, for example, stones that are simply out of the price range of more than 90% of jewellery consumers. Some in the industry will say that over the next decade, synthetic diamonds are not expected to threaten consumer demand for natural diamonds. At most, they will create a niche, these people say, to satisfy demand from low-income consumers. But can we be so sure? And should we be so concerned with the warning of so-called dangers from synthetics? Perhaps we should see them as an extension of the diamond product range. I believe that another issue that needs to be addressed is whether the naturally mined synthetic diamond industry is making a mistake in calling lab-grown diamonds synthetic. The survey by Frost and Sullivan, which I mentioned a few minutes ago, found that synthetic was troubling for some consumers, who said it gives the impression of being fake or not real. That, of course, suits our industry well, but does not necessarily sit well with consumers. Cultured pearls, for example, are not called synthetic pearls, so why should lab-grown diamonds be called synthetic? Is the debate over lab-grown diamonds proving to be more important to our trade, which is getting worked up about it, than it is to consumers? Overall, price or value for money and certification are most important to consumers. In Germany, for example, this survey found that as many as 22% of respondents regarded sustainability as important. They wanted to be sure that there had been no or low impact on the environment from the production of diamonds that they buy. This clearly provides a boost for the synthetic diamond industry because they can claim this is the case and that the naturally mined diamond industry creates environmental damage. It's not true necessarily, but this is what they can claim. And if the consumers aren't checking this out thoroughly, they simply believe what they're told. While most consumers with little knowledge about lab-grown diamonds would be unlikely to buy them, respondents in the survey said they would be interested in buying them if they had some education about them. Let's move on. What about the legal implications of synthetic diamonds? As long as there is full disclosure, There is no problem in the United States as long as the words diamond and synthetic are clearly defined. Synthetic stones must be qualified with words such as, quote, lab-grown or lab-created, or, with the manufacturer's name, created diamond. Failure to disclose the lab-created nature of a stone can be regarded as a breach of contract and warranty. It is also a deceptive trade practice, and not knowing that a stone is synthetic is no defense under American law. Okay, so let's do a quick recap with a few questions that arise from all of this subject. What is the industry doing about this synthetic threat? Is it doing enough? Can a large increase in synthetic diamond production be expected in the coming years? Should diamond exchanges ban trading in lab-grown diamonds, as the Bharat Diamond Bourse in Mumbai has done? The Israel Diamond Exchange, for example, has banned synthetics from its trading floor, but not from the private offices of the bourse. Nonetheless, it's the private offices of the exchange where most business today is being done, as with the diamond exchanges all around the world. The business has really moved, unfortunately, from the trading floor to the private offices. So, are those decisions by the Bharat Bourse and the Israel Diamond Exchange, are they little more than a gimmick? Or should they be adopted by all the bourses? The World Federation of Diamond Bourses, for example, has no particular policy regarding synthetic diamonds and how they're traded in their 30 affiliated exchanges. The exchange is free, each exchange is free to decide for itself if they wish to ban trading, as I mentioned, either on the trading floor only or the trading floor and the offices, the whole of the exchange. So that's an issue that's quite interesting and one that should be discussed, I think. The next question is, will the projected rise in diamond prices in the coming years, will it serve to provide, to give a foot in the door to the synthetic diamond industry as a cheaper alternative? This is something that I mentioned a few minutes ago. As we said, some younger people are persuaded of the so-called environmental damage and slave labour, which of course is not true, that the natural diamond market is said to be engaging in. And the synthetic lab-grown diamond industry comes along and says, well, we're environmentally clean and free and we cause no damage. Of course, they don't mention the fact that the amounts of electricity and power that are needed to create synthetic diamonds is huge, and that's hardly something that has no environmental impact. Some say that we should explain in the natural diamond industry what synthetic diamonds are all about for consumers. But is it for us to do that work for them? Should we get involved in what might turn out to be just a slagging match between the synthetic industry and the natural diamond industry? Or should we let them continue to promote their diamonds in the hope that consumers will understand for themselves what is involved? Finally, can we expect De Beers to enter the synthetic diamond industry in the years to come? This was always something that was said not to be true and that it couldn't possibly happen, but some industry experts have said that they expect De Beers to be entering the synthetic industry sometime in the future. This is mostly based on the fact that they have, De Beers has its Element 6 facility in Maidenhead in England, where it does a huge amount of research into synthetic diamonds and their properties. The De Beers, of course, would say that's purely that the Element 6 facility has only that purpose, to carry out research, while some other industry analysts have said no, they expect De Beers to take it much further in the years to come. Anyway, these are the main issues that I believe are synthetic diamonds versus natural diamond industry debate. As I said, it's something that's going to continue. It is continuing. It will continue as the synthetic industry expands its production. There's a great deal of concern in the natural diamond market. There are various issues, as we've discussed, as I've just discussed. We have in India in July at the international signature show, the International Diamond Monitoring Committee was established with the support of the WFDB and various other members of the international diamond industry. That organisation will be holding its second meeting in later this month, later in September, at the Hong Kong Gem and Jewellery Fair. It's going to be interesting to see what the members of that committee are going to propose. They're talking about a committee that would monitor developments in the synthetic industry, trends in the synthetic industry, production levels, and also they will be looking to recommend machinery that can detect synthetic stones. This is a very interesting subject. I'm looking forward to hearing your questions and your comments, and let the debate begin. Thank you.
Now we'll start off the question answers round. We have got quite a few questions, and we'll start off taking them one by one.
Hi, this is Albert, and we have a question from Sala Shah asking where do lab-created diamonds get their color from? Clearly that's something that the manufacturers, part of the manufacturing process of creating those diamonds is done. I'm not exactly sure about the whole scientific element of it, but that's clearly there's something they're able to do. If I remember correctly, a few months ago we had a large pink diamond that was created, and there were also pretty good quality yellow diamonds. So that's as far as I know about that. We have a question from Bhavesh Shah. What is the current contribution of lab-grown diamonds in the jewelry industry today? Well, as I mentioned earlier, it's obviously it's very difficult to estimate. Some analysts put the value of the diamonds at around 650 million. Others put it at $1 billion. Clearly, this is an issue that it's very difficult to quantify, but the numbers are rising all the time. Latish Cheddar asks, can we look at lab-grown diamonds as a business opportunity, and how? I think we certainly can. They're obviously a business opportunity. They have a legitimate place in the market. If consumers want to buy those diamonds, then they're obviously at liberty to do so. Viprika Jain asks, are lab-grown diamonds a good investment option? My personal opinion is that they're not, because obviously there's a reason why people can buy them at a big discount, and that's because, you know, compared to natural diamonds, they're obviously not the real thing. In addition to that, looking down the road, what resale value do they have? Will people want to buy a diamond that was created in a factory or in a lab? You have to excuse me just one moment. I'm just going to swap my microphone over because I understand the quality is not so good. Just one moment. Well, I hope that's better. Okay, another question from again from Bhaveshar. What are your views on demand for lab grown in the millennial and centennials segment? Again, this is views based on what I've read. They seem to be popular with millennials due to the lower price. Millennials, in some cases, I mean, these are according to reports that we've all seen in the newspapers, international newspapers, that they're persuaded to buy, or they're persuaded to buy the lab-grown diamond jewelry because of the lower price. But again, we go back to the question of does somebody really want to propose to his future wife with a diamond that was created, 2 months ago, or 3 months ago, or 6 months ago, or just a couple of weeks ago, as composed to the whole romantic story of natural diamonds created billions of years ago, with all the effort made in bringing them to the surface, in cutting and polishing and creating them and making them into jewelry. So so I think that millennials and centennials in some cases do. On the other hand, we see the research of the Diamond Producers Association, which is saying that millennials actually, because much of their lives are sort of digital and in a sense artificial, they're looking for something real in their lives. And of course the Diamond Producers Association, with its Real is Rare campaign, is promoting that view. The DPA seems to be very pleased with the research, and they seem to believe that millennials actually are looking for something real and not something created. There's a question from Ari Wolf. Is there an expectation that as manufacturing gets ramped up in the future, that prices will drop significantly? I think that's quite clear that that will happen. The cost of manufacturing is declining all the time. We see reports every now and again from China, manufacturers in India and elsewhere. They're able to create larger qualities, better qualities, and much larger quantities of diamonds all the time. As I mentioned in the presentation, we saw that I think it was SIO Diamond Technology was saying a couple of years ago in the United States that they could grow 60 stones on one platter with an average size of 1.3 carats in just 140 hours, in just a matter of days. So that clearly is expanding all the time. And I assume that prices will go down, although clearly the manufacturers aren't going to want to do that. They're going to have to find some way of marketing their diamonds to ensure that diamond prices don't decline, or if possible, go up. So that's something we're going to have to keep an eye on. Okay, moving on to a question by Yogesh Desai. He asks, what is the environmental footprint of a man-made lab-grown diamond? This brings us on to an interesting subject, actually, because some of the synthetic diamond manufacturers have been carrying out quite a campaign against the natural diamond market, saying, for example, that the natural diamond market causes a lot of environmental damage, and they're talking about slave labor and enormous energy use. It's interesting, actually, because they don't mention all the energy that they, in fact, are using in producing synthetics, and that's hardly environmentally friendly, to put it mildly. One only needs to think or try to imagine the vast amounts of energy needed in high-pressure, high-temperature manufacturing, where manufacturers mimic the conditions deep underground, the high pressure and the enormous energy that were involved in creating natural diamonds many billions of years ago. So I would hardly say that the synthetic manufacturers, I don't think they're on strong ground when they make these claims. Just looking. course, please do keep sending in questions. I'm trying to see more questions now. I don't see any. Meantime, we've spoken about the environmental impact, the prices, how to distinguish between mined and created diamonds. That's a question asked by Hital Gohil. Clearly, there are many. There's a great deal of devices, machines that have been made and still being developed by various places. You have HID Antwerp, you have the GIA, you have De Beers, as I mentioned in my presentation, De Beers with its Element 6 operation in just west of London. All companies are making equipment to try and distinguish between mined and created diamonds. The International Diamond Monitoring Committee, which was established at the the Julu show in Mumbai in July, and which is meeting, I don't know if it's today, tomorrow, the day after, in Hong Kong, as I mentioned in the presentation. They're going to be discussing the idea of selecting the best technology for companies to use. Okay, please do keep sending in your questions. We have a question about HPT and CVD diamonds. HPT, as we know, high pressure, high temperature, that's a certain kind of system for making diamonds. Then the chemical vapor deposit system, which is a more modern system, I suppose you would say. General Electric was using HPHT many years ago. CVD, I assume, they can both be cut into gems and various colors can be produced. This goes back to what we were saying earlier. We've got clear white, you've got transparent yellow, brown, blue, green, and orange. All these diamonds can be created in these different methods. In HPHT, 3 main press designs are used to create the pressure and temperature necessary to produce a synthetic diamond. All of this information is available on the internet. CVD, the chemical vapor deposition method, is where a diamond is grown from a hydrocarbon gas mixture. That's been used since the early 1980s. But as I say, all this information is widely available on the internet. So that's HPHT and CVD. Environmental impact, prices. Please do keep sending in your questions. I'm just looking for more questions now. Be happy to answer them. So if you could send in more questions. Yeah, I'm very pleased that people are asking these questions. Some excellent questions. This is a subject of much concern for the diamond industry, as I was saying earlier. There are a number of questions that we need to ask, a number of insights. There is a legitimate market, just to summarize, for synthetics. Buyers, of course, have to be fully aware of what they're buying or what they're being offered. There's a reason that the synthetic diamonds are much cheaper. As I mentioned before, they will also have a fairly negligible resale value. Is a synthetic diamond jewelry set with a synthetic diamond something that people will be proud to pass on to the next generation? These are all questions that need to be asked. Should diamond bourses be trading in synthetics? Obviously, they're originally set up to trade in natural diamonds. But would it in fact bring extra life to the bourses if synthetics were allowed to be traded? It may bring, bringing in another market category is not necessarily a bad thing. It's not for me to say. I'm just an observer, just an industry journalist, an analyst. But as we've all seen, diamond bourses around the world, the trading floors are really fairly quiet compared to the old days. Would the trading in synthetics bring in a whole new life to the bourses? Let me just go back, so if we have more questions. Yeah, Babishar asks, what is the current contribution of lab-grown diamonds in the jewelry industry today? I don't know if we spoke about this earlier. It's obviously difficult to categorize. Babish again asks, what, according to your opinion, should the diamond dealers do to sustain with the new entrant sharing the market space? You know, I think that's there's a very good case for the industry to have a dialogue. It doesn't help if the natural diamond industry were to attack the synthetic diamond industry. It certainly doesn't help for the synthetic diamond industry to come along and start slamming natural diamond producers and with all kinds of frankly outrageous claims that there's slave labor and all this kind of, frankly, it's just nonsense. You know, there's much that can be done to improve mining conditions for miners, to increase the money that they're making. Obviously, these people are supporting families. We're talking about hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people, millions of people throughout Africa and around the world. I think there should be a dialogue. I think there has been a sort of a move in that direction, but I don't know how far it's come so far. Clearly not far enough. Viprika Jain asks, which of the diamond bourses who have banned lab-grown diamonds trading in their premises? As I mentioned in the presentation, we have the Bharat Diamond Bourse in Mumbai, which has banned synthetic trading altogether. And in Israel, the Israel Diamond Exchange has banned synthetic trading from the trading floor, but not, of course, from the private offices. People there are free to do as they like. Again, going back to what I said previously, the World Federation of Diamond Bourses doesn't have a specific view on this. Each of its 31 bourses can reach their own decision based on what their membership feels. So that deals with that. We had a question from Latish Cheddar talking about lab-grown diamonds as a business opportunity. We discussed that. We discussed the price of lab-grown diamonds compared to mined. Where can I buy a synthetic diamond? This again you can find quite easily on the internet. That's a question by Vijaya Pawar. Not difficult, I wouldn't have thought, to track down a seller of synthetic diamond jewelry. What would be your message to various diamond traders about ethical business? Viprika Jain asks. Clearly, ethical business trading is an issue that has become increasingly important in recent years, and rightly so. I think most of all because of the impact it could have on consumer sentiment. That's the very last thing we need. In fact, we don't need it at all. It's not even the very last thing. It could have quite a disastrous impact. Just imagine somebody buying a ring or some other piece of jewelry and told that it was a real diamond, and then goes and has it checked to find that it's a synthetic diamond. These kind of things could have a disastrous impact. So we really need to keep pushing the idea of trading ethically. We have this issue of synthetic diamonds being sort of sneakily put into parcels of natural diamonds, undisclosed. All these things can have an enormously bad impact on our industry. So there's no choice but to be ethically correct in the way we go about our business. I don't know if I spoke about this before. Letitia Cheddar asks, what are the major reasons for the consumers to prefer man-made? Of course, this mostly goes to the issue of price. But as we mentioned before, price isn't everything. It has a negligible resale value. And again, we spoke about the whole thing about, do people really want to present their wives to be, or some jewelry marking a milestone, lifetime event, with a man-made diamond, with a that might be 40% of the cost of a real diamond, created just a week before or several weeks before in a lab or a factory somewhere. Lab-grown diamonds as an investment opportunity we spoke about, and the colors in lab-grown. Just looking through to see. Yogesh Desai asks, what are the best practices that can be adopted from diamond bourses for disclosure of lab-grown diamonds? Clearly, and I mean people like Ernie Blom, the president of the World Federation of Diamond Bourses, he's made this clear on a number of occasions where the GIA, for example, I think in India and in Israel, there were cases where diamonds, not to do with synthetic diamonds, but to do with treatment of diamonds, where diamonds are treated in such a way that they would get a better grade. I mean, we have to be vigilant. We have to watch out for this kind of thing all the time. And the bourses, of course, have it in their power to eject members who are found guilty of illicit practices. And that's a very firm sanction, because not only are they then banned from the bourse of which they're a member, but they cannot do business in any other bourse, in any other WFDB affiliated bourse around the world. So that's a very tough sanction. This is the kind of thing we need to be doing. What is the percentage of man-made at present? Bhavish Shah asks. As far as I'm aware, it's in the low single digits. I'm not sure if it's risen much more than that. In the nature of things, it will have risen a little bit, because as we spoke about earlier, the production is growing all the time. The quality and the quantity of man-made diamonds is growing all the time. What is the expected percentage sale of man-made in 3 years? Babish asks. I'm assuming if it's around 2-3% now, 2-4%, something like that, within 3 years, it'll probably be 5%, 6%, 7%. Could be anywhere around there. Have most major retailers in the US begun to introduce lab-grown in their stores? Harry Wolf asks. No, that's clearly not the case. I'm not sure who is selling lab-grown. I assume it's the smaller chains and the maybe some independents, some mom-and-pop type stores. The major retailers, as far as I'm aware, are not selling lab-grown jewelry set with lab-grown diamonds. Salah Shah asks, how far has the technology advanced for detection of lab-grown in a parcel of diamonds? I did speak about this earlier. We're saying how the major labs have created extremely advanced equipment for the detection of man-made diamonds, lab-grown diamonds. In Melee, for example, hundreds of thousands of units can be checked within minutes, within a very short period of time. So, and this equipment is being fine-tuned all the time. Are the lab-grown diamonds real diamonds? Asks Darshan Shah. That's an interesting question, because the lab-grown diamonds do use, of course, a strata, a tiny element of real diamond, and then that's the base upon which the diamond is grown. That's a question that I think will continue for some time. What strategies do they follow for promotion? Vipika Jain asks. A synthetic diamond association was set up last year, I believe in the United States. Various synthetic diamond manufacturers joined up. I'm not sure what their strategy is. Clearly, they're pushing the element that they're fine diamonds and quality diamonds and created without an environmental impact, and the price, obviously. Do the man-made diamond companies have the financial muscle to counter the advertising spends that the diamond miners are expected to spend? That's from Bhavesh Shah again. That's a very timely question, actually, because until 2 years ago, perhaps a bit less even, the natural diamond miners sector was hardly spending any money. I mean, there was no replacement for the approximate $200 million a year that De Beers for many years put into generic diamond jewelry marketing. That has changed significantly just since last June, actually. In June, the Diamond Producers Association's directors agreed to boost its annual budget to $57 million this year from $6 million. And that's obviously a huge, huge piece of news. And then last month, De Beers announced that it would be increasing its marketing spend this year to $140 million. As I mentioned, it would be spending most of that budget on its own brands, Forevermark and its De Beers Diamond Jewelers stores. Nonetheless, as certain industry figures made clear, all spending is good. All spending is good for the wider diamond jewelry industry, because there's a ripple effect. And clearly some of that 140 million is going to the DPA, to the Diamond Producers Association, as part of their $57 million spend this year. So clearly the synthetic market doesn't have that kind of muscle right now. Whether it too will decide to create an association or budget to push to promote synthetic or man-made diamonds is yet to be seen. Pardon me just one moment. I do beg your pardon, everybody. These things happen when you're working in the office. Are lab-grown diamonds as hard and durable as natural diamonds? Asks Ali Perret. Frankly, I don't know. I'm assuming they're not, since they're not the real thing, as it were. That I need to look into. I'm sure that information could be found somewhere online as well. I'm guessing not. If there are more questions, I'd be delighted to hear, to receive them, sorry. As of now, that was the last question. If that's everything, then... okay, we have another question now. What are my personal views on lab-grown diamonds, opportunity or threat, by Yogesh Desai? I think we had that earlier, but again, I don't think I'd want to see them as a threat. I think they are an opportunity. I think they're an opportunity to expand diamond sales. I personally would prefer for the natural diamond industry to expand its operations, and I'm not so keen, I must say, on synthetic diamonds. Not something that I personally would buy. Opportunity, yes, there's an opportunity there for the lab-grown diamonds to create a market. A threat, clearly it's a threat in the sense that it's taking business away from the natural diamond market. On the other hand, as we said before, there's a market for everybody. If a consumer wants to buy a lab-grown diamond rather than a natural mined diamond, then you know, he or she is free to do so. Let me see. Okay. Yeah, that seems to be other different ways. Yeah, Darshan asked that there are different ways of making lab-grown diamonds. We spoke earlier about HPT and high-pressure, high-temperature diamonds and the chemical vapor deposition, the CVD method. Darshan also asks, do lab diamonds cost less than earth-mined diamonds? Yes, they do cost less. Clearly, the production cost is lower for creating a diamond in a laboratory or factory than it is for creating a huge diamond mining operation, which can take 15 years from discovery to commercial amounts of diamonds coming out of the mine, with all the many huge expenses that are involved. So clearly, lab-grown diamonds do cost less. Darshan asks, do you think lab diamonds will become popular? Yeah, we've been discussing this during this whole presentation, this whole webinar. I think they will become more popular. Some people not happy to pay what they regard as too high prices for diamonds. They're buying something that they think that looks like a diamond. Nobody will ever know unless they tell them whether the diamond is real or not. Lady wears it as a ring, or engagement ring, or wedding ring, whatever it might be. You know, some people are happy with that. They pay less. They get a diamond that, in their opinion, looks just like a real diamond. You know, that's for consumers to choose. It's their choice. As of now, I believe that's the last question. If that's the case, I would like to thank you for watching the presentation, for asking all these excellent questions, and to keep an eye on this whole issue. I, of course, will be. I cover it as a diamond industry journalist, and it's an issue that's developing the whole time. And I thank you for your time. I hope you've enjoyed the presentation. I hope it's been useful. My answers have helped you in some way. And I look forward to speaking to you, interacting with you in another webinar in the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Albert, for having this very wonderful and informative webinar for us today. I hope, audience, you have enjoyed the webinar today, the presentation, as well as the question answers that we had, and hope all your queries have been answered. In case still, if you have any questions, you can post it on our email us at info@gematlas.com, and we would be happy to share it with the presenter and get your queries clarified with them. Once again, would like to thank Mr. Albert for having this very informative webinar for us today. And with this, we are good to close and end this session for today. Thank you, everybody.